Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Hopefully, you're going to have a great day. But I also realize that some of you, it might not be your favorite day. You might not be having the best Valentine's Day. And I know I've been there. I've had some very difficult times after a breakup and through divorce. And how do you deal with it? How do you get your peace back? How do you get joy? How do you love again? How do you feel loved again? Well, it's not always easy, but it can be done. And that's what I'm going to talk about today is 6 steps on how to get your peace back after going through a breakup or divorce. And again, this isn't easy, and I'm not trying to be, some fluff, just say, oh, life is great and everything is possible. It's going to take some work. And over time, 30 years in coaching and training people, I've developed these 6 steps on how to get your peace back, especially when you're dealing with people. And the first 3 steps you can just do situational wise. If they're not even in the room, you're just running these movies through your head. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but I've had some pretty, you know, pretty tough arguments where I felt like I went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, and afterwards I'm just like beat up. I gave it everything that I can. I proved myself right, and it just exhausted me. Then I looked around the room and I realized I'm the only one in the room. I got to the point where I was arguing with myself. I was already, picturing that there's going to be an argument coming. I don't know if you've ever gone that far, but it can be pretty disheartening. And how do you come over that? Well, the first 3 steps are going to help you with that, whether the person's in front of you or not. The other 3 steps, the last 3 steps, are going to be, they're designed to help you if you have to communicate with the person and how are you going to do it. And you don't have to remember everything. Over on the side or above or below, there's going to be a link. And I wrote a 20-page ebook for you to download for free to help you go through these 6 steps. So the first step, what you're going to do is you're just going to breathe. Physiologically, you just want to breathe. So just breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and all of a sudden you just feel a lot calmer. I'm not going to spend too much time going through these 6 steps because you have that book that you can read, but I'm going to give you a preview. So the first step, again, just breathe. That will start to calm you down. The second step is you want to say to yourself that you don't have control over the person. So I say they are who they are, they do what they do, and they do it for a reason. And a lot of times it's really not their fault. I mean, they might have learned these characteristics growing up or from a teacher or going through some trauma, and they've never really worked on it or realized it, that they're using these personality traits or they're treating you a certain way. So you can't take it personally. You do, but if you kind of look at it from another perspective and say, hey, they're doing the best they can under the circumstances. So you look at the person and you say, they are who they are. They do what they do it that way for a reason. So now you realize you're not having control over them, and you can start to now get into that part where you start to actually forgive them and maybe even empathize. And that's the third step. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to be a doormat, not at all. But at the same time, if you're going to grow, if you're going to get out of that bitterness, that resentment, anger or hatred, and get that joy and peace, you have to rise above it. And here's the strategy. And don't hit me in the head when I hear this, but the third step is to actually pray for the person. They're probably going through something tough. If they're acting a certain way where they're really hurting you, it's something inside of them is not right. So you got to pray for them. And it's not easy. I remember the first time somebody told me to do this, and my first prayer for the person was, I pray for this bleep, 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 bleep. It wasn't one of the holiest prayers, but it had a sense of relief. Once you do that a few more times, you're going to realize that you're not admitting what they did was right. You're just telling yourself is, I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm not going to let the resentment build up. I'm going to rise above it. It's like, because if you hold on to resentment and bitterness, what's going to happen? You're going to, it's like drinking poison and hoping it hurts the other person. And physiologically, it can hurt you. I mean, for 2 years, I sat around and I just sat on the couch. I watched dumb TV. I was trying to numb myself with some booze, and it wasn't working. I just played these how could this person do this to me? I ran these movies through my head so much that my adrenals were on fire. The doctors would say, your adrenals on fire. And it turned out that I manifested cancer. I had kidney cancer and it started by my adrenal gland. So it can literally cause death if you don't get a grip on this. And if nothing else, a lot of pain. So pray for the person. They're going through something. And if you just let it go, you're going to feel better. Now, you can do those 3 steps in just a matter of seconds or minutes. And that's just going to help you get through that hurt. Now, if you have to keep on dealing with this person, that could be difficult as well. So what do you do? How do you deal with a difficult person? Well, you do the first 3 steps, then the second 3 steps. If you do them properly, you're going to be a little more calm. You're not going to be holding that resentment. You might even start feeling a little peace. So write down what the problem is. And I've done this so many times with so many clients over the years, and it always starts off bashing. Well, the problem is they're this. They treat me like this. They act like this. It's all them, 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 them. And yeah, that's a problem, but that's not really the root problem. What is a problem? The problem is how they make you feel. That you're underappreciated, that you don't have value, and, you just want to, there's no boundaries. Those could be the problems. Or, they're going to try and belittle you, or they're going to try and make you feel guilty. So those are the problems, not their characteristics. So once you get through that, you write all that down, you get to the root problem. From there, you have to now come up with a solution. That's the 5th step. And you're probably going to come up with one. And in coming up with a solution, it's always a good idea to brainstorm. I mean, you just throw everything out there, because so many times I'll just hear, well, I just can't. I can't. They're this way. I can't let it go. I can't get over this. There is no solution. I say, come on, there is a solution. And, it could be, I can accidentally put hot sauce in their food or something like that, to get back at them, revenge. Well, that usually doesn't work out either. But write it down. Do this. It could be never see them again. It could be that I'm going to, set healthy boundaries. So write down a lot of solutions that could happen, and then start crossing off the ones that, aren't really going to make sense at the time, and then come up with it. So maybe it was, I got to set some healthy boundaries because this person keeps on coming into my life and I'm trying to move on. So if that's the solution, the 6th step is how to communicate it. And this is where a lot of people do make some mistakes, because they're problem oriented. And if you're problem oriented, trying to communicate and come up with a good solution, it's not going to work out too well. And what's a problem oriented is by leading off with the 4th step, what the problems is. You treat me like this. You don't give me space. You're always making me feel guilty. You're this, you're this, you're that. And if you start off that way, the person's going to shut down. I heard something once that was pretty phenomenal. It said, the first 10 words you say will dictate whether or not they listen to the next 10,000 words. So you want to be more of a solution-oriented communicator. What do I mean by that? Well, we learned how not to do it by being a problem-oriented communicator. Solution, well, first of all, empathize with them a little bit. They're probably going through something difficult as well, and they might have some good qualities. I mean, you work together for a while, so reach deep, go back. Maybe they're good with people. Maybe there's something. So you can say, hey, we've had, some good times in the past. We've done this. However, to move forward, for us to grow and get to the next level, it's a good idea for us to set some healthy boundaries. Now, if you present the solution with a solution-oriented communication, their chances of listening go up dramatically. Now, it's not a magic bullet. It's not going to happen all the time, but it will happen more times than not. You'd really be surprised. And if it doesn't, just walk away and do those 6 steps again. And remember that you can have joy. This is going to take some practice. It's not easy, but download that ebook. Really, it's going to help you, walk through the process. And before you know it, a year's going to go by anyhow. So next Valentine's Day, Do you want it to be a better one? Do you want to not have bitterness? Do you want not to have resentment? Do you not want to have that hatred or anger, but you want to have joy and peace and making yourself whole again and making yourself ready for the next relationship, a loving and caring one? Well, you can do it, but it's going to take work. So start by practicing these 6 steps. I hope you have a great day, a good Valentine's Day, and the peace and the joy and love and being loved again come back to you. God bless.